tuned in to Paranormal TV Network, and you're listening to Haunted Moments, and I am your host, Reverend Dr. Theresa F. Koch. Within Stull, Kansas sits Stull Cemetery. This has got to be amongst Kansas's most haunted spots, also known as the Seven Lost Gates of Hell, the Cemetery of the Damned, Satan's burial ground, and most notably, the seventh gate to hell. Stull Cemetery is often said to be where Satan the devil holds court with his lost worshippers. One resident spirit known as the witch is a lady who is said to curse at you for stepping on her grave. She is said to appear as a tall lady with white hair. EVPs of her can be heard to say, "Keep away from my bones and watch your step." They say she hated her last husband, who is buried next to her, and often the soil seems pushed up where he is buried. Many say she is trying to get him to move elsewhere. The devil's only half-human haunted child is reportedly to be buried here in haunted Kansas. They say he appears as a 9 to 11-year-old boy. He was believed to be able to turn himself into a dog, a cat, or a wolf, basically a werewolf or just plain shapeshifter. Many stories say he was born covered with long red hair and a full set of 2 rows of double teeth. His story is a sad one. He was an outcast chained under a house and thrown scraps of food like a wild animal since he was an infant. One day when he was about 10 years old, he chewed off his left hand, they say, and escaped and tore through the town, killing people he met. He was finally killed after an 11-month killing spree by a lone farmer. Stull Cemetery and the abandoned church that rests next to it is located in the tiny Kansas town of Stull. There is not much left of this tiny village, save for a few houses, the newer church, and about 20 residents. However, the population of the place allegedly contains a number of residents that are not of this world. In addition to its human inhabitants, the town is also home to a number of haunted legends and strange tales that are linked to the crumbling old church and the overgrown cemetery that can be found atop Stull's Emmanuel Hill. These stories have been linked to Stull for more than 100 years. In November 1974, an article appeared in the University of Kansas student newspaper that spoke of a number of strange occurrences in the Stull churchyard. According to this article, Stull was haunted by diabolical supernatural happenings, and they asserted that the cemetery was one of the 2 places on earth where the devil appears in person twice a year. But such stories have a strong hold on people, as evidenced by the reaction to the article that claimed the devil would appear in Stull Cemetery on the night of the spring equinox and again on Halloween. On March 20th, 1978, more than 150 people waited in the cemetery for the arrival of the devil. The word also spread that the spirits of those who died violent deaths and were buried there would return from the grave. The legend also says the devil has been appearing here since 1850 and insists that the original name of the town was Skull, and that the latter corruption of the Stull was simply to cover the fact that the area was steeped in black magic. It was said that the witchcraft practicing early settlers were so repentant about their past deeds that they changed the name of the town. In truth, the town was called Deer Creek Community until 1899, when the last name of the first postmaster, Sylvester Stull, was adopted as the name of the village. The post office closed down in 1903, but the name stuck. In 1980, an article appeared in the Kansas City Times, "Rumors about Stull Cemetery and the Abandoned Church." The article stated the devil chose 2 places to appear on earth every Halloween. One of them was the tumbleweed hamlet of Stull, Kansas, which occurs simultaneously at midnight, is someplace on the desolate plain of India. From these sites, according to the article, the devil gathers all the people who died violent deaths over the past year for a prance around the earth at that witching hour. The article adds that he appears in Stull because of an event that took place in 1850 when a stable hand allegedly stabbed the mayor to death in the cemetery's old stone barn. Years later, the barn was converted into a church, which in turn was gutted by fire. A decaying wooden crucifix that still hangs from one wall is thought to sometimes turn upside down when passersby step into the building at midnight. The story neglects to mention that, historically speaking, neither Deer Creek Community nor Stull have ever had an official mayor. Coincidentally, an old tombstone bearing the name Witch, spelt Wittich, is located fairly close to the old church. It should also be mentioned that there are rumors that an old tree in the graveyard, which was cut down a year or so ago, was once used as gallows for the condemned witches. There is also said to be a grave in the cemetery that holds the bones of this child of Satan, who was born of the devil and the witch. The child was so deformed that he only lived for a few days and the body was buried in Stull. Some say that his ghost may walk here, as there supposedly was a photograph taken a few years ago that shows a werewolf-like boy peering out from behind a tree. According to the Lawrence, Kansas newspaper, the Journal World, the old stone church was mysteriously torn down on February-March 29, 2002. A man named Major Weiss, who owns the property along with two other people, said that he did not authorize the abandoned church to be destroyed. Those who lived nearby stated that they were also unaware of the demolition, although one of them did say that a wall of the church had collapsed 2 weeks earlier. The spooky church is no more, although the reputation of Stull Cemetery still remains. You're tuned in to Paranormal TV Network, and you've been listening to Haunted Moments, and I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Theresa F. Koch.